This video depicts fragments from 2 oral examinations on psychometrics. Don't worry, you don't need to know anything about psychometrics. The point is that the first student is clearly failing, while the second student is only barely passing. How do you think this might affect the examiner if he saw them one after the other?
Okay, so we've discussed validity theory. Let's move on to reliability theory. What are the 3 main theories in respect of psychometrics?
Classical test theory, item response theory, and
There is a third one. The one most intuitive in discriminating between domain-oriented and norm-oriented perspectives. Think variance.
analysis of variance.
It's derived from analysis of variance. Generalizability theory.
Yes, of course, sorry.
Okay. If you calculate reliability analyses in classical test theory, what is your perspective?
What do you mean?
Is it domain-oriented or norm-oriented?
Domain-oriented.
And why is that?
Because it's often used for domain-dependent skills.
That's something completely different. That's more of a validity issue. So which one is it?
Norm-oriented?
That's the one that's left. Why is it norm-oriented? Because it's based on a test-retest correlation?
Yes.
So why is that norm-oriented? Okay, I think that's enough. Do you think you prepared well enough for this examination?
Honestly, no. I struggled to make sense of it.
Okay, we've discussed validity theory. Let's move on to reliability theory. What are the 3 major theories in respect to this for psychometrics?
Classical test theory, item response theory, and generalizability theory.
Which of these is most intuitive for distinguishing between domain-oriented and norm-oriented perspectives?
Classical test theory,
Why is that?
because it's used so often.
That may be so, but it's not what I'm asking. Which is the more intuitive in distinguishing between a domain-oriented and a norm-oriented perspective?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Which is better at making a distinction between domain-oriented and norm-oriented perspectives?
Generalizability theory.
So why is this?
Because it requires you to define variance components so you can see the difference.
Can you be more specific?
By defining variance components, you can determine whether you want to look from a norm-oriented or domain-oriented perspective.
How does that work?
Well, you define whether you include or exclude variance components in the formula based on the type of test.
Okay, near enough. Let's move on. Now, if you calculate reliability analyses in classical test theory, what's your perspective?
What do you mean?
Norm-oriented or domain-oriented?
Norm-oriented.
Good. Why is that?
Because it's based on a test-retest correlation.
Okay, so why does that mean it's a norm-oriented perspective?
Because it is a correlation.
And so,
A correlation is between 2 variables and therefore norm-oriented.
not quite.
Correlation is about rank ordering.
And so,
Oh, if it's about rank ordering, then it does not include absolute numbers, and therefore you cannot determine whether the same part of the domain would be covered in a retest.
yeah, close enough. So the solutions for this problem are?
Incorporate 95% confidence intervals, which gives you a better estimate of the false positive and false negative decisions.
Does classical test theory give you the tools for this?
Yes, I guess it can.
Good. Well done.